the year that we got for the 60s is 1966. We got some Hall of Famers that won some awards in this season. It was a pretty good season all around. But I'm going to start off with the NL MVP that year. One of my favorite all-time players, Roberto Clemente, right fielder for the Pittsburgh Pirates. This was his first and only MVP award. Obviously, his career was shortened by a tragic plane accident.
God rest his soul.
But we'll get into the stats here. The Pirates they finished third that year, just 3 games back of the Dodgers for the pennant. He had very good numbers: 202 hits, 29 homers, 119 RBIs, 317 batting average, 360 on base. But he had a really low OPS of 896. But it wasn't necessarily his best overall year. He didn't finish first in any offensive category. He only had 46 walks, I think because he got a lot of hits probably. He had a good average. He was, however, top five in 7 categories, and he finished third in WAR. His teammate Willie Stargell, Pops, finished with 4 more home runs than him, similar batting average, but he had a better on base, slugging, and OPS. The Pirates actually had really good offense that year. They had 4 guys with over 80 RBIs, including Don Clendenin and Bill Mazeroski being the other 2. But each outfielder on the team, even I think it was a 4th outfielder, they all batted over 300. I mean, I thought maybe his defensive prowess earned him more votes, maybe because he did lead all right fielders in assists with 16. Because he's well known for his great arm. But he committed 12 errors in right field, which is most by all NL right fielders, and he only had a fielding percentage of .965. And his defensive WAR, get this, was ranked 12th. I mean, I know WAR wasn't the thing back then, but geez, 12th, and that's not what I expected from MVP, supposedly his best year that the critics were saying. So the runner-up that year was Hall of Famer Sandy Koufax, pitcher for the LA Dodgers. Dodgers won the pennant that year, but they only won it by 1 game and a half. And then they end up getting swept in the World Series by Frank Robinson's Orioles, who also won the MVP, which you'll get to. He led the league with a ridiculous 1.73 ERA. Like that's crazy. 27-9 record, 27 complete games. 20 guys don't even get like 2 or 3 anymore. He had 5 shutouts, 323 innings pitched, over 300 strikeouts. I mean, the guy was just unbelievable. He led both pitchers and hitters in the NL in WAR with 10.3. Clemente was 8.2, so that's literally full 2 games more valuable. And because the Dodgers only won by a game and a half and finished 3 games ahead of Clemente's Pirates, Koufax's achievements were actually far more valuable than Clemente's. Without Koufax, the Dodgers wouldn't have finished first. The Pirates actually scored 153 more runs than the Dodgers. That's ridiculous. And the Dodgers, who had the 3rd least runs scored, which proves to me that Koufax's contributions were far more valuable because if he didn't pitch well, his offense couldn't bail him out. No bottom 3 offense could do anything like that. But if Clemente was on a cold streak, the Pirates lineup was good enough to overcome anything that he was going through. I mean, the Dodgers pitching staff, it was pretty incredible. Don Sutton, Don Drysdale. But he had 10 more wins than the next guy on his team, Claude Austin. They led the league in ERA with 2.62, the Dodgers pitching staff, and they only used 13 pitchers that year. So, I mean, that's mind-boggling considering how incredible their numbers were, which to me even further justifies that this MVP award was foul. So Sandy Koufax deserved being the MVP that year over Clemente, 100% justified. Stats that I dug up. I don't know what was going on during that year. Maybe it was a favoritism for some reason. Maybe they didn't think Koufax won enough Cy Youngs, whatever. The Dodgers were a good team, but you can't argue that him pitching all those games and his numbers. If he wasn't pitching, the Dodgers wouldn't have made the playoffs, let alone get into the World Series. So I'd like to hear what you have. You got the AL MVPs, a couple of Baltimore Orioles duking it out.
Yes, my friend. Like when I was reviewing all these information about the AL MVP voting and things like that, it was actually probably one of the greatest, in my view, one of the greatest seasons for these two Orioles. Not only that they had some great hitters, but they also won the World Series. So the 66 AL MVP was a battle of 2 great Baltimore Oriole teammates and Hall of Famers, the battle of the Robinsons, if you will. And this was also one of those unanimous votes, like to the max. I must say, the AL MVP winner of that year was Frank Robinson. In his first year also at the Orioles since being dealt from the Cincinnati Reds, he totally blew away the competition on this year. On top of winning the MVP, he also won a Triple Crown that year as he led the league in nearly every major offensive categories, including batting average with 316, 49 home runs,
Oh,
122
Robin
RBIs and runs.
316 says, I just won the MVP.
Yeah, to the max, my friend. It's an absolute great season for Frank. 49 home runs, 122 RBIs and runs, 637 slugging, 410 on base, 1.047 OPS, and 367 total bases. Yes, indeed, a unanimous winner of the MVP, as well as receiving all 20 first place votes. It was a great year for the Orioles, winning the World Series that year, sweeping the LA Dodgers in 4 games. The MVP runner-up was his teammate, third baseman Brooks Robinson, finished a distant second behind his teammate, although he still had a strong year. 269 batting average, 23 home runs, 100 RBIs, 91 runs scored, 167 runs, 333 on base, 444 slugging, and 776 on base percentage. Uh, like it was. I think it's a like totally fair that Frank Robinson won this award because he blew away the competition. And also, interestingly enough, the third and fourth place finishers on the AL voting was Boog Powell and Harmon Killebrew, who both of them had stellar numbers as well, and they had slightly better numbers than Brooks Robinson for the runner-up. So I would say either one of them could have been a runner-up as well because they all had stellar seasons in that year.
Yeah, that was a stacked team. To know how good the Dodgers pitching staff was to get swept by the Orioles, I mean, it just shows how great the Orioles were led by Frank Robinson. If Koufax said the Dodgers had any help offensively, they might have done a little bit better. But definitely a great season. It's always I love seeing teammates being 1-2 for the MVP. It's a lot better for debating. So hopefully we'll see what happens when we get into the 70s. We start getting into this. We're done with the swinging 60s, and we're on to the acid trip 70s.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comments below.